Welcome to Sir Fritz Social Studies class in Disciplines and Ideas in the Social Sciences. And in this video recorded discussion, we will focus on Filipino indigenous social ideas. Let us begin with our daily affirmations. Today, I choose to learn and grow. I listen with respect and do my best. Each day, I become better than before. Let us begin with our topic discussion. And first, we have to understand that Filipino indigenous social ideas form an essential part of understanding the complexity and richness of the country's culture, identity, and social structure. These ideas are deeply rooted in the country's pre colonial past and continue to influence Filipino behavior, relationships, and social dynamics today. From a social science perspective, these indigenous concepts provide insights into how Filipino society functions in relation to kinship, governance, community, and spirituality. So I have highlighted there complexity and richness. When we talk about Filipino indigenous social ideas, it is complex and it is very rich. And because of its complexness, it is what makes it rich. Okay, meaning there are many things to look into when we are trying to understand Filipino social ideas. Okay, and these social ideas have something to do with our past, especially during the pre colonial years, because not everything about our pre colonial practices have been Hispanized or Americanized by the colonizers. And mostly of those Filipino practices during the colonial years, especially our language, okay, are still present up to this current times. Okay, and this will give us an insight into how our society functions, how Filipino engage as a group of people, as a kin, as a government, as community, and as an individual. So, in understanding Filipino and indigenous social ideas, we need to look into the concept of kapwa, a shared identity and relational personhood. One of the most fundamental Filipino indigenous social concept is kapwa, which refers to shared identity or shared self. So therefore, since there is the word shared, it means that we are interconnected with others, with the people around us. In Filipino culture, individuals are not seen as isolated entities, but as interconnected beings whose identity is defined in relation to others. This concept first extensively explored by Virgilio Enriquez in his theory of Psikolohiyang Filipino, which we have discussed in our previous class meeting, challenges the Western notion of individualism and places the collective at the center of social relationships. So, therefore, in order for us to understand the Filipino, we have to look at the Filipino in a Filipino lens. And that is what Virgilio Enriquez established through the Psikolohiyang Filipino, the Filipino psychology. Okay, because there have been notions that the Filipinos are very different, but it can be different only when we look at it on a Western perspective. But looking at the Filipino in a Filipino lens, we can understand that this Filipino behavior and practices are something that resembles collective and communal engagement. So the kapwa can be understood in a social science perspective, especially through psychology. From a psychological standpoint, kapwa represents a collectivist orientation, where an individual's well being is closely tied to the well being of their group. Closely tied to the well being of the group. So, therefore, we feel good when others feel good as well. It emphasizes interdependence and social harmony, values central to Filipino society. The word interdependence, though it might sound magsalig in Bisaya term, okay, but however, because of the collectivist orientation that we cannot survive on our own, that we need the others, okay, in order for us to survive, we need to work as a group. Okay, so that is why interdependence plays a significant element in Filipino society. Kapwa manifest in behaviors such as mutual help like the bayanihan and empathy like the pakikiramdam, where social sensitivity and consideration for others are key. So therefore, being a Filipino psychologically is to be conscious with your other people, okay, with the others. Now, when we look at the kapwa in a sociological perspective, in sociology, kapwa is analyzed in terms of social cohesion, meaning the bondness and group dynamics on how this bond and group of people function. It explains how social bonds are maintained in Filipino communities, particularly in extended families and barangays, like local communities. Kapwa fosters a sense of belonging, encouraging cooperation and unity, which are essential in both rural and urban settings. Also, we have the concept of bayanihan, collective effort and mutual assistance. Bayanihan, literally meaning being in a bayan or community, is the Filipino practice of communal unity and cooperation. So, from the word bayan, so therefore, it is the people in that bayan working as a unit. Traditionally, bayanihan refers to the act of neighbors helping a family move their house by carrying it to a new location. So, the carrying of the house from one place to the other is a symbol of bayanihan. However, bayanihan do not just display or cannot just be fully understood by carrying a house, but also in our day-to-day interactions among Filipino, like simply picking up the garbage of your neighbor, assisting them with needs like emergency needs. Okay, so that is how bayanihan work. When community or the people within that community started or will be working as a unit. So, bayanihan is a powerful symbol of shared effort. Today, it extends to various forms of community assistance, disaster response, and volunteerism. In social science, especially in anthropology, an anthropologist view bayanihan as an expression of communal culture. So it's not just symbolic, but it is an expression, a desire, okay, for the people of that community to work as a unit, where relationships are reciprocal and obligations are mutual. This practice reflects the egalitarian or equality nature of many indigenous Filipino communities, where the group's survival depend on cooperation. So, in order for the group to survive, they need to cooperate. But cooperation can only be possible when people feel equal among each other. Okay? In rural areas, bayanihan continues to be a crucial social institution, especially in agricultural settings where resources and labor are shared. Okay, so therefore, bayanihan is evident, very easy to observe when you are in the rural area, in the provinces, in less populated areas, sa mga probinsya. Okay, but there is a contrast to that when you go to the urban areas, the densely populated areas. Okay, so therefore, in the urban areas, we rarely see bayanihan, and it's not that visible. It's because the idea of an egalitarian society is no longer common. Okay, because people in the urban areas are competing with each other. So therefore, there are those who have and those who do not have. There are those at the top and there are those at the bottom. So, therefore, the idea of cooperation will be dependent on the price. So, therefore, it requires more resources in order for people to function in an urban area. And that is in accordance to anthropological perspective. Next, we have the political science view. In political science, bayanihan reflects grassroots democracy in action. It is a form of self-governance where communities take collective responsibility for their welfare. The concept has been co-opted in modern governance, particularly in disaster management and community development programs, where the bayanihan spirit is invoked to encourage public participation and civic responsibility. We have here a picture that shows the ethnic groups of the Philippines in the pre-colonial years. We can see that there are many scattered or different groups of people, especially in the Visayas area. Okay. And this group of people represents their bayan, their community. And this group of people have to work with each other so that they can function as a unit. So they have their own ways of self-governing. And this concept of barangay or simply a simple bayan have been instrumental in the formation of our nation politically because the barangay is the basic political unit of the country. Next, we have loob and damdam, inner self and emotional depth. Loob refers to the inner self, which encompasses an individual's moral and emotional core. Closely related is damdam, which signifies deep emotional sensitivity. Both terms are central to understanding Filipino social interactions and values as they emphasize internal reflection, emotional depth, and moral responsibility. So, to understand a Filipino is to understand its emotion because the emotion becomes the driving force of how the Filipino reflect. So we have here an illustration. So the loob is what you have within. Okay, that's your consciousness. It's a combination of consciousness, feelings, the senses that you have, and also your sense of rationalization, your reasoning of how things have happened around you. But we also have the damdam, the sensitivity. How sensitive are we with our surroundings, with the people around us, and how we reflect with the changes that happened around us. So that is damdam. So from the sensitivity or the sensations that happened outside the loob or your inner self, it will go directly to your loob and will be rationalized, reviewed, and reflected by the person. Okay? And which also becomes part of your loob. So, in the social sciences, especially in psychology, loob is crucial in understanding Filipino behavior, particularly in the context of interpersonal relationship. So, therefore, when Filipinos engage with one another, they first look into their loob, okay? And it relates to concepts of hiya, shame, and utang na loob, depth of gratitude, where maintaining good social standing and fulfilling one's obligations are of utmost importance. Okay? Maintaining good social standing and fulfilling one's obligation are utmost importance. So therefore, in a psychological context, okay, we behave in accordance to others. So we are able to do things or forced to do things because we have an obligation to others. Or else we will feel hiya if we are not able to achieve it, or we are not able to satisfy the utang na loob, the debt of gratitude. And we have damdam, on the other hand, underscores the Filipino capacity for emotional resonance and empathy, central to maintaining harmonious relationships. So, our damdam, okay, from the our sensitivity with our surrounding, and also how we feel with other people. Okay? So, therefore, psychologically, as a Filipino, we try to see ourselves in others. That is why empathy is not a problem among Filipinos. We can all easily feel what others feel. Okay? Why? Maybe this has something to do with culture. Okay? Where stories are done and exchanged as we grow up, and we feel those stories as part of us. Okay? That is why one good example here is watching teleserye. Okay? Where Filipinos feel emotional connection with the movies or the teleserye that they are watching, and even simply reading those mga novels. Okay? So by simply connecting through the idea, through the emotional experience of others, then Filipino can have the damdam. Also, in a sociological lens, loob reflects the internal motivations behind social behavior, particularly in the fulfillment of social obligation. So, loob is something that we carry with us, but also that cargo becomes our obligation. Okay? And we have concepts like utang na loob, which creates networks of reciprocal exchange and obligation. So when we feel good towards from others, if we feel good because of how others treated us or have done something to us, it becomes an utang na loob. It becomes our obligation to do something good towards that person or towards others, so they may also have utang na loob. Okay? So, because of this concept of utang na loob, we become interconnected. Why? Because we now have obligations with one another. So, this utang na loob sustain familial and community relationships. Okay? So, nanilhig ko sa atubangan sa inyong balay, then kamusad, kay nakakita man mo na limpyo na tungod nako, then na mo'y utang na loob. So by the time nga ako ang area mahugaw, you will have the consciousness, okay, to silhig the area I am in because I have cleaned your area. So inana ng utang na loob. So also damdam highlights the emotional aspect of social interaction. So Damdam creates the value of our interaction. So that is why when Filipinos interact, they do not just simply exchange ideas, but also emotions, where feelings of hiya and pakikisama or smooth interpersonal relations regulate behavior and maintain social harmony. So, therefore, when Filipinos engage or interact with each other, they carry with them their emotions. Okay? And that emotion, if not done well or not being treated well, okay, if you offend someone or someone offends you and or both attack on much in each other and then they realize their mistakes, it becomes a form of hiya. But when things go well among people or among Filipinos when they interact, it becomes a smooth interpersonal relation. It's a good pakikisama. And therefore, there will be social harmony. And we also have the concept of pagkakaisa, unity and solidarity. Pagkakaisa refers to the unity or solidarity, a concept deeply embedded in Filipino culture. This idea emphasizes the importance of collective action and togetherness, particularly in the face of external threats or challenges. Pagkakaisa is often invoked during political and social movement. So, therefore, Filipinos are capable of working as a small and big units. Okay, because there is a concept of pagkakaisa. However, this is only triggered or invoked during political and social movements. So, therefore, when there is a necessity for us to bond together, the Filipinos will bond together. Okay? So let us proceed to the next slide. Pagkakaisa in a political science lens. So pagkakaisa plays a critical role in the analysis of Filipino nationalism and political movements. The idea of loving the country is because we believe in the concept of pagkakaisa. Remember that the Philippines is a diverse country. We speak many languages, we understand and define the world differently, but because of our desire to have pagkakaisa, then the idea of having a nation is possible. Okay, and we are able to work as a political unit. Historically, this concept was a driving force behind the resistance to Spanish and American colonization. The spirit of unity was also central to the success of People Power movement of 1986. And today, pagkakaisa is still invoked in political discourse, particularly in calls for national unity and solidarity during crisis. So we have here a picture uh, during a protest in Manila, which displays pagkakaisa among people against political issues that have happened in a certain political uh, timeline. Also, pagkakaisa can be understood in a sociological perspective. So, pagkakaisa is essential in understanding how Filipino communities organize themselves around common goals. The word common goals. It is particularly evident in times of disaster or crisis. So, therefore, problems and challenges like disaster and crisis so these enforces the Filipinos to have pagkakaisa, where social networks are mobilized to provide aid and support. Pagkakaisa also strengthens the bayanihan spirit. So therefore, pagkakaisa is a driving force in bayanihan as it underscores the value of collective well-being over individual interest. Remember the idea that we Filipinos have empathy, okay? So therefore, our concept of pagkakaisa is because we can easily empathize on others. Dali ra ta maka-feel sa na-feel sa uban. Okay, so long as we are exposed to how that certain event happened. Okay? So, lisod man mag-empathize nga maka-feel ka sa problema sa uban if you are not exposed to it. Okay? So, lisod yun magkakaisa. Pero magkakaisa or pagkakaisa is possible when empathy about a certain event exists among people. So, we also have the concept of pakikipagkapwa, social interaction and inclusivity. Pakikipagkapwa refers to the Filipino practice of interacting with others in a respectful, inclusive manner. It extends beyond kinship, emphasizing the idea that every person, regardless of the background, is deserving of dignity and respect. Okay, so pakikipagkapwa. So pakikipagkapwa is fellowship with others, connecting with others, because you connect with others because you know that others have dignity and they also deserve respect. And also, at the same time, when we connect with others, we also see ourselves in them. It's like mirroring. And that others will also makikipagkapwa sa atin or sa atoa, then that becomes a form of pakikipagkapwahan. Okay, so through that pakikipagkapwahan or that interaction among people with good feelings with each other, with respect with each other, then it becomes a bond among people. So this idea fosters inclusivity and egalitarianism. Remember, we mirror on each other, so therefore it makes us equal with each other. And this reflects the communal nature of social relationships. In a social science perspective, pakikipagkapwa can be seen in an anthropological lens, where pakikipagkapwa is seen as a mechanism for maintaining social order and inclusivity in Filipino communities. So if we want to have social order, we must have pakikipagkapwa. So social order is important so people can move in an organized manner. Okay, and also for chaos to be prevented or avoided. Okay, this practice fosters egalitarian relationship, equal relationship, ensuring that everyone is treated with respect. Okay, respect is essential in Filipino interaction. Okay, because Filipinos are self-conscious with their loob and damdamin. And yes, Filipinos are a reflective person. They can understand themselves with others. If others do not treat them well, okay, or if others do not treat a Filipino well, then the Filipino will feel bad when they try to look at their loob and their damdamin. And also, when they feel bad, they might also be doing bad to others as well. So it would cause a chain effect. So in order for that chaos or problem to not spread out, therefore, there is a need to have pakikipagkapwa. Regardless of social status or wealth, it also contributes to the avoidance of mga problems in society. It was not continued in this PowerPoint. So let us proceed to the next slide. And we have here the sociological perspective on pakikipagkapwa. And it plays a key role in Filipino social integration, particularly in multicultural and multi-ethnic settings. Okay, so this is what makes us Filipino, our diversity. That despite having this diversity, we are still able to understand and feel for others. Okay? And because of this pakikipagkapwa, it ensures that Filipinos extend their sense of kapwa beyond family and close friends, fostering social cohesion in diverse communities. This practice is also evident in the political sphere, where inclusivity is championed in community and nation building efforts. Okay, and that is why we have National Indigenous Peoples Month. Okay, and this celebration is to for us to recognize that there are people in this country with different cultural practices, but despite having this diverse cultural background, we are still able to feel for one another in good terms, and that is done through pakikipagkapwa. Also, one thing to understand Filipino social ideas is the concept of pamahalaan, governance, and the indigenous political system. Before colonization, Filipino societies were organized into barangays, small communities led by a datu or chieftain. The pre-colonial system of governance was based on consensus and reciprocity, so exchange, where leaders were chosen based on merit and social influence, and their authority was contingent upon their ability to serve the community. And during the pre-colonial years, especially here in the Visayas, we have here a picture of whom to be Raha Humabon. As you will notice, the pre-colonial people of the Visayas have tattoos on their um, skins. Okay, so mostly all parts of their body na. Okay. However, a person who has done significant contribution to the barangay will have his tattoo at the face. So they're considered mga heroes or significant person. Okay, and that is why when you look at the picture here, the Raha has his tattoo on the face. So, looking at the pamahalaan in a political science lens or perspective, indigenous Filipino governance was decentralized and participatory. So, it's not something centralized where it is governed by a certain political group. Okay. So the concept of pamahalaan emphasized local autonomy, with leaders expected to consult with the community on major decisions. This early form of governance based on consensus and mutual obligation continues to influence modern Filipino political culture, particularly at the barangay level. So when we try to understand the Philippine politics, we also have to look at how they govern themselves. During the pre-colonial years, we have the Datus, the Timawa, the Alipin, and that has transformed, okay, throughout time. And we also have your picture of a Datu, okay, from Mindanao. And this Datu is surrounded by his mga trusted person from the barangay, whom they have conversations on how to govern their community. Also, the pamahalaan can be understood in an anthropological perspective. that the indigenous system of governance was closely tied to social and economic structures. Leadership was based on social capital, where leaders' ability to govern was contingent on their networks of reciprocity and kinship. Okay? So, therefore, you become a leader, a datu, or even until today, you can be any political leader so long as you have good network or connection with your family and also with your neighborhood. So, in order for that connection to be strengthened, there should be a give and take relationship. Okay. So, in a social science perspective, pamahalaan is decentralized system which allowed greater flexibility and adaptability in dealing with local issues, a feature that remains relevant in contemporary Philippine local governance. So, the idea of managing or governing people requires a sense of flexibility and the ability to adapt as well, especially when there are challenges to the community. In conclusion, Filipino indigenous social ideas are deeply rooted in pre colonial traditions and continue to shape the nation's social, political, and psychological landscape. Concepts such as kapwa, bayanihan, loob, pagkakaisa, pakikipagkapwa, and pamahalaan reflect a worldview centered on relational personhood, collective action, and social harmony. From a social science perspective, these ideas offer a rich framework for understanding how Filipinos navigate social relationships, organize their communities, and interact with the broader world. That is why, if you go to this YouTube channel, there's a question. Does the Filipinos or does the people of the islands have no civilization? We have to think again. Okay? Because we, in these islands, before the colonial years, have already have our own ways of defining and defining the world and engaging with one another. As the Philippines continues to modernize, these indigenous concepts remain vital in grounding Filipino identity and fostering social cohesion. They serve as valuable tools for addressing contemporary challenges such as inequality, political instability, the need for community resilience in the face of adversity. By recognizing and integrating these indigenous ideas into both academic and political frameworks, the Philippines can build a society that honors its cultural heritage while navigating the complexities of the modern world. So, in short, let us be who we are as Filipino, and we invest on that and grow as a Filipino. So we have here a quote from Joaquin Bernas. One of the riches of the Filipino nation is the diversity of cultures found in it. These diverse cultures, as a matter of right, must be allowed to flourish. No one culture should be allowed to crush any other. And if you have your takeaways, write them down in your notebook, take a picture of it, and yes, you can attach it in the GC or submit the notebook when we meet. And that covers everything. Goodbye.